Leatherleaf Mahonia, a gardener's perspective. When I first discovered Leatherleaf Mahonia, Mahonia Bealei, I was drawn to its unique structure and year-round appeal. This evergreen shrub, with its spiky foliage and bold architectural presence, immediately stood out in my garden. Over time, I've come to appreciate its adaptability and versatility, making it one of my go-to plants for shaded or partially shaded spots. Let me take you through my journey with this remarkable plant and why I believe it's a hidden gem for gardeners. A bold, architectural statement. The first thing anyone notices about Leatherleaf Mahonia is its foliage. The leaves are long and pinnately compound, with sharp, holly-like edges. They radiate in a way that gives the shrub a striking, almost tropical appearance. In my garden, this dramatic foliage adds an exotic flair that contrasts beautifully with softer plants like ferns, hostas, and astilbes. I find the evergreen nature of Leatherleaf Mahonia particularly appealing. Even during winter, when many plants are bare and lifeless, its deep green leaves remain vibrant, offering structure and interest. For me, it's a plant that holds its own year-round, serving as a reliable backdrop or a bold focal point. Fragrant winter blooms. One of my favorite aspects of Leatherleaf Mahonia is its unexpected winter blooms. In late winter to early spring, clusters of bright yellow flowers emerge, creating a cheerful display when most gardens are still asleep. The flowers are small but numerous, arranged in upward-pointing racemes that remind me of golden fireworks. They're not just visually appealing. These blooms emit a sweet fragrance that attracts early pollinators like bees. In my experience, seeing life buzzing around these flowers on a crisp winter morning is incredibly rewarding. The berry bonanza. After the flowers fade, Leatherleaf Mahonia produces clusters of dusty blue berries. These berries resemble small grapes and hang in attractive bunches, adding another layer of visual interest. For me, these berries aren't just ornamental. They provide a valuable food source for birds, especially during lean winter months. Watching robins and cedar waxwings feast on the berries feels like nature's reward for planting this shrub. Leatherleaf Mahonia versus Oregon grape. I've found that the Leatherleaf Mahonia's glossy, spiky leaves make it a standout in my garden, while the Oregon grape's more delicate foliage and bright yellow flowers give it a softer, more traditional appeal. Is Leatherleaf Mahonia edible? I remember being curious about Leatherleaf Mahonia and its edibility, especially because of its intriguing berries. From my experience, the berries are indeed edible but very tart, almost unpleasantly so. I've read that they can be used in jams or jellies if you add a lot of sugar to counteract their sourness, but I've never tried that myself. How to propagate Leatherleaf Mahonia. Propagating Leatherleaf Mahonia was an interesting process for me. I found that the easiest way was by taking semi-ripe cuttings in late summer. I would snip a healthy stem, dip it in rooting hormone, and plant it in a pot with a mix of sand and compost. Keeping the soil moist and the pot in a shady spot seemed to work well, and within a few months, new roots started to form. Can you use Leatherleaf Mahonia flowers? I discovered that the flowers of Leatherleaf Mahonia are not only attractive, but also useful. They produce a lovely fragrance and can be used to make a lightly floral tea, which I enjoyed a lot. The bright yellow flowers also attract pollinators, adding to the garden's biodiversity. Does Leatherleaf Mahonia need to be covered in winter? When winter approached, I worried about whether my Leatherleaf Mahonia needed protection. I found that it is quite hardy and doesn't typically need to be covered. Even during a particularly harsh winter, my Mahonia managed fine without any extra care, though a thick layer of mulch at the base can help protect the roots. When to prune Leatherleaf Mahonia? How to prune Leatherleaf Mahonia? Leatherleaf Mahonia, Berberis Bealei, generally doesn't require strict pruning to thrive. However, pruning can be beneficial for several reasons and can be done at specific times throughout the year. Pruning for shaping and maintenance. Light pruning. Timing. This type of pruning is best done in late spring, just after fresh growth and new shoots appear. Purpose. To maintain a desired shape, remove dead, diseased, or damaged branches, and encourage bushier growth. How to prune for shaping and maintenance. Use sharp pruning shears or bypass secateurs sterilized with rubbing alcohol. For shaping, make targeted cuts on branches to control their direction and size. Remove dead, diseased, or damaged branches by cutting them back to a healthy portion of the stem. Prune for bushier growth by cutting back leggy stems to a healthy bud or outward-facing branch. Heavy pruning for rejuvenation. Timing. This is best done in late winter before new growth emerges. Purpose. To drastically rejuvenate overgrown or leggy leatherleaf Mahonia shrubs. How to heavily prune for rejuvenation. Make sure your pruning tools are sharp and sterilized. You can cut back entire branches to within 12 inches, 30 centimeters, of the ground. Leave a few taller branches if desired to maintain some height. Alternatively, you can take a more selective approach by cutting back some of the older, thicker branches while leaving some younger ones for new growth. Additional tips. Always wear gloves and eye protection when pruning. Make clean cuts at an angle just above a bud or outward-facing branch. Avoid excessive pruning, as it can stress the plant. After pruning, water the plant deeply to help it recover. Remember, heavy pruning is not necessary for routine maintenance. Light pruning in late spring is sufficient for most shaping and maintenance needs. Is Leatherleaf Mahonia deciduous or coniferous? Leatherleaf Mahonia is an evergreen shrub, which I appreciated because it provided year-round structure and greenery in my garden. Unlike deciduous plants, it kept its leaves through winter, adding a splash of color when most other plants were bare. Is Leatherleaf Mahonia poisonous? One thing I was particularly cautious about was the potential toxicity of Leatherleaf Mahonia. While the berries are edible when processed properly, the rest of the plant is considered mildly toxic. I always wore gloves when handling it to avoid any potential skin irritation from its sharp leaves. This is my experience with Leatherleaf Mahonia, a plant that continues to inspire and delight me. Every garden needs a touch of drama, and for me, this shrub delivers it effortlessly.